Social media sucks. And there's a lot of reasons for it. The only social media that I use is YouTube and X, or Twitter, which I just downloaded a month ago. When the winter started, I had all of them. I had TikTok, I had Instagram, I had Facebook, I didn't have Twitter, and I used YouTube. YouTube's always been the main one, but I would say that's the least social media, at least in the sense of texting and just communicating with one another and putting up posts. That's pretty new for YouTube. But TikTok was the first one to go. And to be honest with you, a big reason for that is just the brain rot. Brain rot is... TikTok is the worst about brain rot of all the social medias. It incentivizes, and they all are slowly doing this. It's like, you know how Fortnite started this huge battle royale thing? Call of Duty started doing it. Everybody else just started picking up on this huge, innovative idea of battle royale. That's what TikTok did with Reels. And now everybody has them. Except Twitter. I would say Twitter doesn't necessarily... Well, that's not true. Yes, you can click on videos on Twitter and just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. So every single social media has this feature where you can just endlessly go down videos that are bright and colorful and funny and dramatic and tear-jerking, and it just hits every emotional cue that it can. And you're just... And some people, a lot more people than we'd probably like to admit, because pulling it myself out of it gave me withdrawals, which is just atrocious to think about. But people will just do this for hours a day. They will just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. And the algorithms on all of these are built to create this. They're built to make this happen. Every social media platform, or every platform in general, especially with the internet, wants you to use their product. They want you to be on there as much as possible. Because when you're on there, it's making them money. And they can put ads on there and you'll see them because you're on there for hours a day. So, what's the best way to market this as a social media designer or someone who wants to incentivize people to keep using their app for hours a day and to get new people to come in? By learning their audience. They learn their audience by tracking how long you watch each reel or post. How long they stay on the post is vital to reshaping your algorithm. So if you find a bright, colorful, poppy video that makes you watch for 5 seconds longer than you watch other videos, all of a sudden your algorithm will begin to curate those and push them to the front. You will begin to be hypnotized, so to speak, by the type of content that grabs you the most. And there's something very dangerous about this. Because if what you're doing to people is constantly feeding them emotional and stimulating content at all times in bite-sized forms and you can just skip it every half second that you're not entertained, your attention span for everything else in life will dwindle and boredom will take over your life if you're not on these apps scrolling endlessly, which is their goal. The more that you can't handle life because it's too boring, the more you're going to pull your phone out and give them more of your attention and time, which is really what they're after. We are in the attention economy. Attention is now worth more than money and time, at least in the online and technological, on those platforms in this age. Because with attention, you can funnel people, which is exactly what all these apps are doing. And I would say TikTok is the first when it comes to the reels and the endless scrolling, and then that was a competitive edge that TikTok had. So every other, like I said about Battle Royale, all these other apps incorporated it. And that's just the first reason. Brain rot is the first reason that I got off of a majority of social medias. Another reason is the comparative nature of social media. Social media, remember how I said we're in the attention economy. So whoever gets more attention is more valuable in the world of social media. Someone with 1 million followers, more important than somebody with 300,000 followers. Somebody with 300,000 followers, more important than somebody with 100,000 followers. If you get more likes on your post, if you get more DMs, that is a legitimate factor that people take in when it comes to their importance and their value. And this is equally as dangerous as brain rot because it changes how we determine who and what is valuable. And that's fine. You can change what is valuable. A lot of times it's good to change what is valuable. But to base it on a screen, to base it on metrics of who has more, leaves a lot of people that uses these apps depressed. Because they look at these influencers online and they're all competing for first place. They're all competing to get more followers. There's things like looks maxing, which is just the most shallow thing that humanity is concerned with at the moment. Looks maxing is a joke. Looks maxing is the ideology that your looks determine your value. The better looking you are, the more valuable you are. And this is a byproduct of the technological age. And like I said, determining your value through numbers on a screen, it's almost the exact same thing, where people are measuring their faces and their physiques for symmetrical calculations, and they're reducing their value and their meaning and who they are as an individual to a tick on a ruler or tape measure. And people are doing some pretty insane things to achieve these ideal metrics because, like I said, everybody's contending with one another to be first place. Who has the best jaw? Who has the best height? Who has the best placement of your eyes from one another on your face compared to where your nose sits and how long your nose is? And this is dangerous. This is dangerous territory because first of all, the main guy, clav or clavicular, who is the person behind a lot of this looks maxing stuff, or at least he's the main guy. I don't know if he's trolling, I really don't, but he's admitted to doing meth to help some of his indicators or markers. I'm not sure what it is, but it's just ridiculous. And also, apparently, now it just feels like he's trolling, but he said he hits himself in the face with a hammer because apparently it tightens up his face. And it's like, it tells you a lot about people and where we are as a society when you look at what we value. And a lot of the reasons that we value these very shallow, numbers-based things is due to a lot of social media and what social media has done to people at large. It has brainwashed us from the brain rot. It has changed how we look at one another. We are putting each other in different categories based on, like in the past, blue check marks on Twitter were for celebrities. Now you can just buy a blue check mark, but that's not the point I'm making. The point is this sort of gatekeeping separation between those in the cool club and those not in the cool club. And looks maxing is a way of doing this. Money is a way of doing this. How many followers you have on social media is a way of doing this. Looks maxing might be the most tragic one because there's so much about your looks that you don't pick. You are born and you get the looks that you get. And sure, you can mutilate yourself and give yourself Botox or plastic surgery or hit yourself in the head with a hammer or do meth. I guess there's a lot of different things that you can do to achieve those great numbers for your face and the perfect calculations. But aren't we losing our humanity here? Does anybody else sense it? Does anyone else sense that we're just losing our humanity? We are at a very strange place, a very new place. Generation Z, which I am a part of, is the first generation to grow up around social media and cell phones or at least the types of cell phones we have now, iPhones and these types of screens and internet at all times and easy texting, not, tapping the same button 5 times to get a single letter like the generations before us. But that would be the second thing about social media that is just destructive. And it's why I deleted TikTok first, I deleted Instagram second. I deleted Instagram second because Instagram might be the worst when it comes to comparative. People comparing themselves to one another. Who is better than who? And who can we laugh at because they look like an idiot? Or who isn't tall enough and not worthy because of that? Or who... It's just a comparative game. It's one big game where everybody's deciding whose team they're on and who they're better than and why they're better than them. And it's a huge concern of people on social media. Now, the third reason that social media sucks is because of dating. And I'm sure I'm going to sound like a broken record. And not necessarily because I've repeated this a bunch of times, but, it's come into public consciousness to a great degree at this point. Social media has ruined how the world sees dating. And that includes apps like Tinder, that includes other dating apps. Just, once again, you are a face on a screen. You are a metric. You are either good enough or you are not. Swipe left or swipe right. That is what a human being is now. A human being is someone, I'm just going to hit all three. whose attention we need for our app and who needs to hit a metric for their face, for their height, for whatever to be good enough. If they're not at least this tall, if they're not making at least this much money, they're not worth my time, which is more of the dating, but still, it's a comparative game where you measure one another based on metrics, where you measure each other on their follower count. It's just shallow. It's a screen. You're holding a gadget with a screen on it that tells you numbers and tells you how quote-unquote important someone is because of how many people have clicked the follow button, a button on everyone's account, but more people have clicked on their profile picture, taken to their account, and clicked that big, bold follow button. And since their number is larger, since they have more money, since they're taller, since their jaw is more symmetrical and more prominent, they are more valuable. And this leads right into dating. Because if we believe all of these things about one another, on top of our attention just being robbed from us at every second of the day that we're on these apps, we are going to determine the value of a romantic relationship in these same metrics. Okay, is he better or is she better than other people? Does he or she drive a car that other people don't drive? Does this person have a job that less important people don't have? Do they have more followers? Do they have a blue check mark? It's just, we're seeing each other through these screens. Everyone is trying to get a piece of your attention. The CEOs of these social media apps are rolling in money because of this, and they're destroying a lot of society along the way. And I'm not putting all the blame on them because a lot of people can, they have the freedom to delete these apps, but they just don't. We could, and especially if you were raised on it. I mean, all of these apps or not all of these apps, but Instagram was available to me when I was like 13. Facebook was available to me when I was like 8 years old. I downloaded TikTok when I was probably 20. I was a little late to the party because I just didn't get the hype. I started making content on there, and I started making content on Instagram and all that. But I found that, there's a lot of joy that you can find on these apps. Like, I laugh very hard when I'm watching these videos on there. There's funny content, there's entertaining stuff, there's opportunities to learn, there is good things about these apps. But despite all that joy and opportunity for learning and all the pros that come along with it, when I would get off of social media and I returned to the real world, I felt this emptiness, this sorrow, sadness, because I was just in this place where everybody's playing this ego dominance game with one another of who's better than who. And honestly, a lot of the stuff that I was laughing at, I'm not proud to say this, but I'm just being honest, a lot of the stuff I was laughing at was comments. And a lot of these comments are literally just making fun of people. That's all it is. Top comment. The first comments that you see on a lot of posts that were flooded in my algorithm, and my algorithm has gone through a lot of changes, but it's literally, TikTok is probably the worst when it comes to this. It's edits of people looking stupid. They'll Photoshop people's faces or properties of their faces onto distorted animals or distorted pictures of other people, and it's just once again shallow. It's very shallow. It's very destructive. It erases our humanity. It makes us see one another not as people, but as beings within a screen attached to metrics and numbers. And human beings are not metrics and numbers. Yes, they can be A human being can be measured. Yes, that is a metric. A human being can have metrics for sure. But to give a human being all of their value based on these things is beyond shallow and harmful and just destructive on all ends. And to be honest with you, I don't know which one's the worst. If I had to pick, the brain rot's really bad, but the comparative games between people online is just as bad. Maybe a lot of it flies under the radar because our attention is so robbed from us. But yeah, that's something that I've gone through the past probably 5-6 months. I got off TikTok, I got off Instagram, and then I deleted Facebook. And also, another thing is lust. Trying to quit lust and being on these social media apps is ridiculous. Snapchat might be one of the worst ones for this. I haven't even brought up Snapchat. You cannot go over to public stories on Snapchat and not see women twerking, women in bikinis everywhere. I have literally, there is a not interested in this post button, and honestly, it's one of the best buttons that you can use to take your attention back on these apps. You can hold down or click the triple dots on the app or on the post, and you can click I'm not interested in this post, and it will help your algorithm to not feed those types of posts to your face all the time. And honestly, Instagram and TikTok were fine with it. When I clicked not interested on specific types of content, it was pretty good. It took them out for me. But that didn't erase all the comments that were just hateful. I found those everywhere. But Snapchat, I don't know if there's a not interested in this post button, but if there is, I've definitely used it. But I will block accounts that just throw skin in my face and twerking videos in my face and just anything that is I'm trying to get away from. Because when your attention's been robbed from you, it's very easy to sink into that type of numb behavior of just endless scrolling. And even if it's something that's lustful or provocative, it's just a part of the endless stimuli anyway. You can't really tell the difference. You're kind of just in a soup of stimulation regardless, so it's just another day as far as you're concerned. But I will block accounts endlessly on Snapchat on the public domain. I still, to this day, after blocking dozens and dozens, maybe over 100 accounts, have images of girls posting on their stories and their most recent photo, which this is another thing. People make their most recent post the most provocative, so that way you'll click through all of them because that's the highlight. That's the photo that you see on the banner. So they'll, put pictures of them at Starbucks all day or walking down the streets, and then just randomly a photo with cleavage or a photo where they're in a short skirt and they're just showing more than, and that's the most recent photo that they show. So that's just all over my public profiles domain or whatever. And I'll just block it. I'll just immediately be like, okay, I don't want that in my feed immediately, so I'll block it to tell the feed to chill. No, that's not how that works. Either A, there is no getting around that on Snapchat, or B, blocking does not say a single thing to the algorithm and it's going to put in your face whatever you want. So I hardly open Snapchat. So I guess Snapchat, X, and YouTube are the three that I use. I'm on X pretty often. X seems to be the best for me when it comes to avoiding brain rot, because I don't use the Reels mechanic on there. And, there's still a lot of reposts, and there's still a lot of just the same stuff you see everywhere else. I've seen the same quotes from philosophers and psychologists 100 times a day. So don't get me wrong, it still has its, fair share of that stuff. But YouTube is absolutely my favorite. YouTube is the best for curating your algorithm to find quality content creators that you actually want to see. And there are some people on here that have, meaningful things to say, which is why I started making videos like this, because I appreciate this type of content. I love Minecraft. I love videos of Minecraft. I love survival mode. I love the peaceful nature of Minecraft. I love people speaking their mind over the game. It's like a podcast, but you're just watching somebody play a game over it. I think that's pretty cool. Or you can watch hour-long podcasts about philosophy and psychology. It's like you can actually... I've learned so much on YouTube. I think YouTube is a very valuable... And YouTube has its fair share of brain rot and comparative stuff as well, but it's easier to avoid. You don't have to watch that as much as on TikTok and Instagram and all that. You really don't have a choice. It's going to fill your algorithm. It's going to be in your face. So, yeah, those would be my 3 biggest reasons why social media sucks. I think it's more destructive than it is good, but I do think there's a lot of good involved. I think it does offer opportunities for people to connect. I think it does offer people to learn and just have a new form of entertainment and content. And I respect that. I think it's a great freedom. But I think, too much freedom can lead to slavery in this regard. Except, in a way it's not freedom, because especially if you don't know how the algorithm works and you don't know how to curate what you really want to see on there, and you're just at the whim of whatever it wants to feed you, it is going to feed you slop. It's going to feed you garbage. Unless you quickly scurry past it every single chance you get, if you are locked in there for 5 seconds, the algorithm will take notice of that, and it will feed you that. So those are my 3 reasons. My 3 big reasons why I think social media is destructive and it sucks. 1 is the attention brain rot problem. 2 is the comparative nature and the ego involved with it, which that's just a byproduct of human nature, of course. But, reducing it to a screen doesn't make it much better. In fact, it makes it more shallow. And 3, what it's done to dating. It's what we value has converted to who's worthy of dating and who's worthy of seeking out, because we wouldn't want to be seen with someone with only 300 followers, would we? Why would we want to do that when this guy over here or this girl over here has 3, 4, 10, 100 times that many followers? Why? It's just shallow. And like I said, destructive and harmful. So, that's today's word. Let me know what you think. Tell me if you agree. Do you think social media sucks? Have you deleted it? Are you still on there? Do you think it's not so bad and I'm just in over my head? Let me know. Thanks for watching, guys.